cool.
Got a bunch of pens that sometimes work too.
Yeah. It's funny that's just like such a human thing, you know. Just pens. We're all just wanting pens to work. You know?
Yeah, we're kind of right. I can relate.
But when you get a good pen, that's nice.
Hold on to it.
Yeah.
You know it's the one. Andy Overn has a favorite pen that he sort of evangelizes.
We have the same pen. This is a good pen.
Yeah. Look at that. We have the same pen. It's a Zebra.
Yep.
0.7 millimeter F301 BP.
Oh, we don't have the same pen. I've got a G301, but it is a 0.7, and it is a Zebra. And it does look the same.
Yeah, I think they're probably of the same species, genus.
Yeah.
Genus for sure, species, maybe even family. I'm not very good at categorization.
It sounds right. I don't know. I don't know what those mean. I forget, but I know they mean something. There's a hierarchy.
Our pens recognize each other.
Yeah. Wow. But Zebra's a great pen, and it just feels good. You know, it feels good.
It
writes well.
Maybe so.
You don't like it?
No, I don't not like it. I don't like it. I don't not like it.
Okay.
I don't have a stance.
That's fair. That's okay.
On almost anything.
Well, if there's things to not have a stance on, pens are probably, you know.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I choose what I think matters.
Yeah. That's what we all do.
And
if
maybe
we did do that, man, it'd be exhausting.
Right. Reality would be overwhelming.
Yeah.
There's so much out there.
Yeah, for sure.
So we simplify.
I mean, we're doing that right now, right?
I think so.
Like we could be like looking at all the things in this room. But that would be pretty overwhelming, you know.
You know, our feast readers, our listeners, never see this room because this is not a video supported podcast. It's audio only. So why don't you describe the room for the first time ever?
Wow. I don't know if I would call it stark, but it feels like utility over everything else. That's not bad necessarily. It's not like an ugly room, but it's a little stark. It's gray. There's panels for sound everywhere, which makes sense. Aesthetically, I don't know what I'm thinking about it though. You got TVs. Yeah, even the table, you know, the table's kind of like, this is for business. You know, I like it. It's a nice table, but it's kind of dominated by the things, the utilities, right, that make this thing happen.
Yeah, it's like there's this technological octopus that just sort of like sprawls across this table.
Yeah.
The table
That's such
itself,
a better image. I was just kind of like giving nobody any images. And you just gave them a great image to actually think about what this room is like. Yeah. The sprawling microphone octopus is perfect.
But it's on like your grandma's table.
Yeah.
Like, and not your grandma's nice table. It's the one that's in the kitchen that always gets like the one that's got like a burn on it.
Yeah.
It's Formica and oval.
Yeah. It looks
secondhand.
Yeah. It looks like this was I Love Lucy's table.
Yeah, maybe
like when they just came out and it was cool to have this table.
Brand new Formica.
Yeah.
In 1950.
It's crazy. It would be cool if the octopus wasn't, you know. Like I think this table could be inviting. It's just the octopus, you got the soundboard. It's a little bit cluttered. I'm not against clutter necessarily.
Are you familiar with the name Iain McGilchrist?
Yes.
You are one of very few who answer that question affirmatively.
I love him. I mean, I'll say, go ahead, though.
Well, I think he makes a metaphor, or he talks about how the hemispheres of the brain have constructed reality in its own image, and maybe the technological octopus just sort of dominating the domestic table is a good synopsis of McGilchrist's view of reality.
Like, yeah, this is very much a left brain approach to setting up a podcast studio.
Yeah. The tech dominates.
Yeah.
This is not about being homey.
No. It's like functional, utilitarian. You know. Rationally, this room makes sense. You know.
But what a good statement.
It's not very homey.
I think I want that as a T-shirt.
You know.
Rationally, this room makes sense.
I mean, it has all the parts, you know, like you could make an argument why this is a good podcast studio.
Mm-hmm. Of course.
And I'm not saying it's not.
That's right. Well, great things come out of this room.
Yeah. It does the job, but, you know, I kind of want like a Hagrid's Hut aesthetic. You know, that's where I want to do a podcast.
Say more about Hagrid's Hut. Describe it.
Well, I don't know, like...
What about it?
We're probably all familiar with Hagrid. He kind of just lives in that stony hut right outside the forest. And at least, like, I forget how maybe it's described in the books. And I'm not even, like, a huge Harry Potter fan, so I don't have a lot to draw from necessarily, just like...
Yeah, but it represents something for you.
Yeah.
So what about it?
Stony hut at the edge of the forest. A little bit... You go inside, and it's a little bit cluttered. It's definitely lived in. You know, you have kind of like what would be like a popular way to say it's kind of like cottagecore. I hate that I use that term, but at least it gives like a framework, an instant framework for people. So it's got that, yeah, it's like everything's kind of wood or stone. It's like a hobbit hole, you know, like that's maybe a little more refined than Hagrid's Hut.
Wouldn't that be a great place to podcast?
Yeah. That's the thing, like you'd go into Hagrid's Hut and you'd be like, this place is kind of messy and I don't think Hagrid's dusted in 40 years. But you'd be happy you were there and it would feel homey, you know?
Well, maybe it's a matter of what you pay attention to because what I noticed, I've been in this room many times, what I noticed is the peculiarities of today. For example, cords were draped across the floor and I had to move them and a tripod was sitting in the way. And I kicked your water bottle over, and now there's a puddle of water on the floor.
Yeah.
And right behind you, over your head, there's like peeling paint, like where there used to be a TV screen, and there's plugs and cords sticking out.
Yeah.
That's kind of making it cozier.
Yeah.
There's the wabi-sabi if you want it.
The wabi-sabi?
Yeah.
What is that? That seems like it's a thing.
Yeah, it's a Japanese aesthetic concept that values... wear.
Yeah.
Values the story that comes with the way things, well, I suppose record time. An object records time.
Yeah.
So I think the most accessible way to talk about that now is ripped jeans. But that's become, you know, sort of like a manufactured concept.
Yeah, for sure. If you buy a pair of ripped jeans, it's kind of lame.
You're buying wabi-sabi.
That's kind of lame. It's kind of like anti-wabi-sabi.
Yeah, I think the same thing comes up with the Carhartt aesthetic. You know, there are people who have their grandpa's jacket, you know, and
yeah, for sure. Yeah, there is something about that.
But that's accessible. You know, we can understand that. That's a fast way for us to get wabi-sabi.
Yeah, I love that wabi-sabi.
Yeah.
But we all know that, you know?
The question is, do we value it? Do we value it?
I mean, I value it. It's weird. Like, I definitely value it. I'm also somebody who's, like, slow to change those types of things, you know? So it's, like, part of it's, like a personality thing where, like, you know, I could probably not dust for a year, and it's probably not because I'm trying to create wabi-sabi. It's just like, you know, like whatever.
You know, it's not just important to you.
It's not important to me.
Not in your attention.
Or I'm likely gonna it's just gonna take me a while to do things like that. You know,
because you're doing other things.
Yeah, I mean, that's a good spin on it. Yeah. I mean, like at the end of the day, like, yeah, like you said, like we're all gauging our values in all things throughout our lives constantly every day. And so, dusting is pretty low on my values list. So like I could go a couple years without dusting. And then when I really start to sneeze or it really looks bad, you know, or I'm having company over, it wouldn't actually take 2 years, but it's just like I need some external prompts to really make that a value to me.
So when that pressure comes, then the attention can notice it.
Can notice it, or it will value it.
Yeah.
Like I'll notice, you know.
Maybe
like,
you see it.
Yeah. It's not that I don't, like I'll notice like, that's pretty dusty. But I'm like,
I never think about dust.
I'll do that tomorrow.
I mean, I'm a sculptor.
I'll get to that.
You know, so plaster and clay are everywhere. Stone dust, sawdust. So dusting it's a pretty refined kind of cleaning.
Oh, for sure. I think so. Yeah.
That is almost never in my life is dusting. I think the way you're talking about it is dusting actually happening for me. I'm not doing that. My version of it.
Neither am I.
Right. We've just established that. For me, that's like an air compressor. I'm just like blowing dust off of things.
Yeah.
And then it's just like settling again.
Yeah.
Maybe on the floor, and then I sweep the floor and get most of it.
See, there's wabi-sabi and dust.
I can pick that up and go different directions, but instead, I'm going to ask you to introduce yourself.
Okay. Well, I'm Joe Lundsten. I moved back to town in August with my family. I'm a Bethany alum. I'm the brother of Ben Lundsten. I was a philosophy major here when that was a thing still. Well, actually, liberal arts major, technically. And right now, I run my own counseling business in Mankato. I've got a son named Roy, a wife named Olivia, who is also an alum. She's pretty awesome. Roy's also pretty awesome. And you're awesome. And I'm glad to be here. I didn't think we'd talk about wabi-sabi, but I'm like, man, I feel vindicated.
That's secret sauce.
Yeah.
I think a lot. I think about Whistle the Feast more than it seems like.
Yeah.
I think a casual listener might think that this is random. But part of what I think about is developing a stance that avoids an oppressive agenda.
Mm-hmm.
For the sake of valuing the possibilities.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, wabi-sabi can emerge from Hagrid's hut, can emerge from the peeling paint on the wall and the gray paint.
Yeah. Well, that goes back to McGilchrist, I think, right? Maybe in some way. To be fair, I haven't read any of his books. They feel a little bit daunting.
Who has?
I mean, there have been some.
There
have
massive.
been some. I know.
I tried. I really tried.
I know, that's the thing. I've got too many books on the list that I'm already not reading that I probably will never get to in my lifetime. God willing, I hope I do. But those are decently high on the list. But yeah, that's like a workout. That's like a... Mm-hmm. Like I can imagine, at least myself, like sitting down and actually reading through them. Let's say like for a decent reader, you could read through them in like 3 months or something like that. Like, I don't even think that would be beneficial to just do that. It's like, it's almost like, I would imagine you would have to, depending on what kind of writer he is, like you'd almost have to approach it like a devotional I know that's like a weird word to use, but it seems fitting. Like I'm gonna read like a chapter and then maybe sit with it, and maybe I got to sit with it for like a couple weeks, or maybe I don't come back to it for like a couple months.
That was my experience because what he's saying is it's scholarly, extensively cited, and the things that he is saying are relatively unusual. We need, my experience is that I need to process the implications of what he's saying, and it does take a while.
Yeah. Does he write in like a very like linear style, or is he more poetic?
I would say he's accessible. And I didn't really answer your question.
That's okay. Well, that's helpful. Like, like there's a lot of writers. Well, I think about like textbook as the most like logical way you could write a text, right? Very structured, very like, okay, I'm laying out the arguments, or I'm laying out the theme, and we're going to follow this structure. Kind of like how we're taught to write any sort of essay at a higher level, right?
Yeah.
And then there's some who will write more poetically, where rather than approaching the point from a linear structure that goes from A to B to C, it's, I don't know, like you could call it more cyclical or circular. Circular, like, is the better word. Where they're always like moving around the point, and it's like, it's more poetic style writing.
I think he's able to do both.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, but he's simultaneously doing both.
Okay.
The overall structure of the book that I worked on, called The Master and His Emissary, revolves around a central metaphor that's in the title, and relates it to the hemispheres of the brain, and the way they function, the way they relate to each other, and the way they relate to reality. But he approaches it in a rational, persuasive sort of way that lays out evidence after evidence after evidence from neurosurgery and imaging and his career in psychiatry and philosophy and poetry.
Yeah.
Maybe, I've never thought about this, but maybe he's in that demonstrating the cooperation between
that's a good
the
point.
modes.
That's what I was thinking. I was like, I could see what you're saying makes the most sense, but I was leaning towards, like, I could see him writing it more poetically, because that would be like, that would be like a scaffolding that would be making the point while he's making the point in some way. But it makes more sense that he's demonstrating both. Again, because he's like a medically trained psychiatrist, right? Most people who kind of like go into medicine kind of probably operate more out of a left brain way of thinking. That's certainly like how the medical and like world kind of teaches those things. And that's not bad. But like you said, he is also kind of like a philosopher and a poet. He's super dynamic. I mean, I could listen to him talk about like toast, and it would be awesome.
I feel like I have.
And so, yeah, so what you said makes the most sense. Again, like providing like a scaffolding that's teaching you beyond words in some way, beyond just like the content that's there.
Yeah,
just super exciting to me.
We're kind of talking about him, and I suspect that our listeners might be confused. They might not have access to what we're referring to. So I'll try to give an overview here.
Okay.
Help me out.
Go for it. I think you know more than me. You've actually, I've listened to a lot of his content, and read some of his, I've read some of his Substack, but, and maybe a couple writings, but I haven't like dived into his books.
Well, my experience is that he uses all of those different communication platforms to try to get the same point across.
Okay.
And the point goes something like this. His second book is called The Matter with Things.
Yeah, even bigger than the first book.
Right.
It's 2 volumes.
And that title has a double meaning, at least.
Yeah.
So his point is that something's wrong. Something's not right. And he thinks that it's related to the way in which, especially the left hemisphere of the brain, has been observed to interact with reality. He's resurrecting the kind of defunct or shamed popular picture of right brain, left brain theory, in the ways that the hemispheres have been reported to operate. And he understands that it became too much of a sort of Pinterest popular poster.
Yeah.
You know, it's not as simple as
most things do.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Around.
Things get just sort of cartoonified.
Yeah.
But he insists that there's something there from his expertise, from his observations, and really his entire career. He goes on to make a case that something is out of balance in relation to the way the hemispheres tend to relate to the world and the way that the world has been sort of normalized. So your observations on this room, right, the way we started this conversation, and then I took us to McGilchrist with the microphone octopus here.
Mm-hmm. Which is a great segue. I think this is going to open us up into some fun places.
Yeah. So he would observe that all the way back to the architect, the way that we live in boxes today, boxes that are the product of a worldwide factory mindset.
Yeah.
And let's say the graying of automobiles, black, white, gray. All of this has become kind of a manifestation of a preference for the way the left brain wants the world to be.
Yeah.
And that has to do with dividing and simplifying.
Yeah.
It becomes more manageable if we could just get things to hold still and separate things from their context.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, I think a big piece is, like, taking yourself out of a relationship with a thing, sort of to objectify it, you know. And that doesn't have to be inherently bad, right? But
correct.
It's a stance you can take towards something for a particular end, you know.
And to be clear, McGilchrist is not, he's not advocating one or the other. He's advocating cooperation, and he points to moments in history when great things come from let's say, you know, as it is in the brain where the hemispheres cooperate well, so it is in a society that normalizes that kind of balanced view of reality. So you said relationships, you know, that context and relationship is a hallmark of the right hemisphere in the way that it sees reality. And so, you know, in that case, if somebody asks a yes or no question, the right brain answer might be, well, it depends.
Yeah.
It always depends.
Yeah, like and again, like, I want to be careful where, like, we might popify it too, you know?
Yeah,
and
right.
Like, but yeah, let's come back to, like, how you might describe this room. Like, a right brain approach might be like, like, what is my experience in relationship to this room? Like how, maybe an easy way to just say is like, well, how do I feel about this room? Again, that's a little kind of like popified too, but as opposed to just pointing out things that happen to be in this room, right? Versus like, does that make sense?
Yeah, where my McGilchrist application goes there is whether the focus is blinders or broad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like focal attention and expanded attention.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's super compelling. It seems like, like he's advocating for both, but based on the title of The Master and His Emissary, and also just what I've listened to and read of him, like the primary way of seeing the world should flow through the right brain, right?
Yeah, he does favor.
It is primary.
The right brain.
And sort of the rational, logical, computer-like functions of the left brain should be secondary.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. This is dangerous territory. And, very importantly, like he'll say over and over that certain fields do not exist in one or the other. Mm-hmm. So it's not safe to say that the arts are right brain and the sciences are left brain.
Yeah, for sure.
Everything requires both.
Yeah. It's interesting that it's like, I wonder why you say it's dangerous, because it seems like, at least in Western history, and seemingly most history in the rest of the world, like it was the case, like not that they were operating in right brain, left brain talk, but like it was the case that sort of the poetic, intuitive faculty of the human mind or human soul, however you would want to think about that, was the primary way of engaging with the world. Was seen as like the higher faculty of, and so like, and I think we're coming back to that place, like we're realizing that, like we can make the world super functional, and we can like, we can put Roundup in corn seeds because it makes things functionally make sense, right? We can rationalize that, but we know like on an intuitive level, like there's something just off about this relationally,
Yeah, theoretically, it's not a good idea to put poison in your food.
Well, yeah, I mean, again, but you know that, like, you kind of know that before making a rational argument about it. You're like, that's a little off.
And this is about values again, going back to dusting. So, the argument or the thing behind the thing that's just so hard for people to get to and talk about is, like, let's say just the idea of the Industrial Revolution. One of the big ideas is like, make it do more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Make your factory do more, make your machine do more. And then that grows. It turns into, well, then you want standardization. You want repeatability.
Mm-hmm.
You want to be able to not have downtime.
Yeah.
And all of that, it boils everything down to just productivity.
Mm-hmm.
Make it make more.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it's machinified, right? Yeah, and that's a big argument. And maybe some of your listeners are readers. Do you have like do you guys write things?
No, it's kind of a figure of speech. Okay. I mean, maybe a poetic
yeah,
tendency.
I like it. Yeah.
It just slipped out, and then we went with it.
Okay.
We call them feast readers.
I like it.
Which is like double implication.
Yeah. I like it a lot. So your feast readers, maybe they're, again, like Dr. McGilchrist does seem kind of like a deep cut. But he's seemingly like everywhere. And I don't know, maybe that's the algorithm. Maybe I'm in my own like bubble.
Same.
I probably am but maybe not. Like, certainly he's like accessible to everybody, like,
I think he's a little further upstream than Jordan Peterson.
Yeah. It's definitely like a different crowd, but they're sort of, I think they're both kind of responding to this thing,
You can get to him if you know about him.
Yeah, for sure. And I like some of the conversation, and I think he's been in conversation with some of these people. They're kind of call like culture right now as it is the machine.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm hearing a lot about that.
Yeah. Like people like Paul Kingsnorth or Dr. Martin Shaw, or like those are some English thinkers. I think Dr. McGilchrist has talked to both of those people, and I've listened to those conversations. But again, like the sort of culture we've created is very mechanistic, very functional, logically makes sense, is more and more starting to turn into like a computer-like way of doing things, right? And Dr. McGilchrist's contention, and like the contention of Plato when he was talking about writing and how that's going to change the human mind, is like it shapes the way we are. Because like when you're in a relationship with thing, it sort of exerts itself onto you, right? And so I guess I've been sort of captured by a lot of the writing around like re-enchantment is a way to frame it, if anybody knows what that is. And it's really exciting to me.
What's exciting?
Just sort of like recovering a way of being that's like inspiring, that has mystery to it. That's like magical in a way, like, and I want to use that word very nuanced, right? I'm not talking about magic per se, but the same sort of inner response you get when you read like Tolkien, right? Like, oh, there's something magical about that.
Mm-hmm. And part of that is
like, I just don't want to be a computer, I don't really want to be in relationship to computers,
because you're not a factory. You're not a machine.
Yeah.
Those are made by humans.
Yeah.
You're made by God.
And we all know, like, it's really, yeah, exactly. And we all know, like, intuitively, when we're in relationship to machines, or like when we start to become a machine in some ways, like, we know that's off again, right? Like, we know that. Mm-hmm. It's exhausting. And so,
like when you spend too long at your laptop.
Yeah. I mean, maybe some people like it, but I've got to imagine everybody.
There's a fatigue there.
There's for sure a fatigue, and then at a deeper level,
chopping wood has a fatigue too.
Yeah, but it's different though.
It's different, right?
Yeah,
there's something.
100%.
There's something that makes you better.
Yeah, and there's a way you can kind of, you can make chopping wood mechanical. There's a way you can do that. Even if it was just you and like a maul, right? Like you could make it mechanical.
You should define maul.
Like a not like an axe, but like a splitting, what is an axe? I guess, right? It is an axe.
Yeah,
specifically
we're not
made
talking
for
about a shopping maul.
Yeah,
It's a chopping maul, not a shopping.
It's
maul.
a chopping maul, exactly. Specifically, like a kind of a broader head.
Yeah.
A heavier head.
My dad introduced me to that.
And even that has a mechanical function, right? Like they sort of figured out how to make chopping wood more functional.
Sure, it's a tool. You get mechanical advantage from that tool.
Yeah.
But you participate. Maybe the important part is that you participate physically.
Yeah. I have like an actual relationship with it. That isn't like mediated by so many steps.
Yeah.
Like it's mediated through the axe.
Uh-huh.
But like I'm still very much a part of it. You know.
Do you actually chop wood?
I used to a lot, yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah, I used to way more. Not even necessarily because I had to. I didn't like have a wood burning stove or anything or a heater. I just loved it. There was something intuitively of like, it just felt earthy. It felt real.
I think this is
I just want real things.
Stone carving does this for me.
Yeah. Say more.
Well, it's hard to explain why, but it does make me more alive when I engage with this natural material. And it is manipulation. It is using a tool, and in that way, it's like working with a machine. But I think there's something more embodied about it.
Yeah, embody would be a great way to, like embodiment would be a great way to talk about it. Things like that are exciting to me. So that's part of it too, like something I want to recover. Like I just want to be in my body more. You know, like I guess I'm somebody like who spends like a lot of time in their head thinking about things maybe. Maybe that's just like, maybe that's like an actual personality trait. Though like I question like personalities and like what that really means and how that actually is shaped, you know? Like you could ask like, is that really who I am? Somebody that's like thinks about things a lot? Or is that how I've been shaped?
Right. Is it a symptom of
the
Enlightenment world?
Exactly. And so, or a symptom of like how I've experienced the world and things that, you know, for ill or for good that I've experienced. But yeah, like there's something about chopping wood, and thinking isn't bad, but it's like, I just want to be in my body more. There's a thinking that happens in the body that again, I think we've lost. I think there's wisdom that I can learn from chopping wood that isn't just about splitting the wood, you know?
Yeah,
or just like it's like a workout, or
it's not
just
entirely
like,
the
it's
function.
good for me physically. Like there's lessons there actually. And
maybe
that sounds
lessons
maybe
that,
hokey, but it's
maybe
not.
things you can't describe.
Yeah.
Things that you can't quite explain.
Yeah. Things you could for sure, but then things like you couldn't. But just like we were taking down the quilts, you know, like it was like a phrase, it was on your poster, but it was like beautiful. Like, what was it, like sit with the story?
Sit with the story was the title of the show.
And I was thinking about this exact same thing. So it's like the fact that we're having this conversation is really interesting. But like, I was like, yeah, like you could come to like a show, an art exhibit about quilts, and you'd be like, this is a little kitschy, and is this really art? And you know, you could have that whole conversation. But then there's something like, I'm going to use the word just because it's fun. I like to just like throw out words because it shakes things up a little bit. But I think we like, part of this whole conversation is just like recovering some vocabulary, or like having new vocabulary to sort of rework concepts in our head. So like, I would say like there's probably something actually mystical about quilting in the exact same register that I'm talking about with like chopping wood. Like I'm imagining like quilting has some pretty deep wisdom in it. If you quilted like your whole life, you'd probably learn some things that go beyond quilting. And it's like, yeah, that's fascinating to me. Even if it's not true, like I want to believe that, and I want to live in a world where, you know what I mean?
Enchanted.
Yeah, exactly. That's where the enchantment comes back, like embodiment. Like I think most of us have, most of us, like we don't have relationships to those things. You know, like obviously we understand like why it's really nice to not have to make your own quilts, right? And what I'm not saying is we should all go back and make our own quilts. I mean, maybe, but it's like we lose something there. You know, like quilting has something to teach us. And it's like, and like once you get to a certain point, like it's really hard to recover those things, right? Like there might be a day where nobody makes quilts, and that's like pretty sad. That's really sad to me. On just like a cultural level, a human level, but just like there's knowledge there. It's not even just about knowledge per se, right? It's more about like wisdom. Like God has given us this beautiful world, and like I can encounter Him in quilts, right? Mm-hmm. And that's pretty exciting to me. But if nobody's quilting, like there's one less way I can encounter what God Himself, but also like the beauty and the wisdom and all things, you know.
And to be clear, this is not necessarily about reviving wood chopping or reviving quilting. No, because those are simply the costumes. They're the exteriors that hold the wisdom that you're talking about. Means of accessing.
Yeah.
There's something else. And I think it has to do with value, like you said earlier.
Yeah.
Or attention. What do you think the world is?
Yeah.
Is a central question. How should you be spending your life?
For sure. The thing is though, like, so yes, in one sense, but in another sense, like, it is about recovering those things because, like, again, it's like it is the scaffolding for the thing that I'm wanting.
Yeah, I'm going to suggest that it has been.
Okay.
The thing to recover is the attitude toward reality, toward the world. Because if you concentrate on like let's say that you make an effort to revitalize craft, which I believe in.
Yeah.
You could miss it. You could make it inappropriately about the technique, the external.
Yeah, for sure.
And if people's attention is constantly on, like, it can just turn into productivity again.
Yeah. And I see where you're getting at.
And you miss.
Yeah.
You miss the implied part of it.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so it's
the embodied part of it.
For sure. Yeah, so I would say it's like a dance in between what the two extremes could be. Like one where it becomes well, you're just like doing the thing for the sake of the thing. That you've either made like a weird idol or it's not really about the thing anymore.
Right.
But then on the other end
that becomes an idolatry.
Yeah, but then on the other end of the spectrum, it's like it's totally abstracted, as if like as long as I like have the nice ideas about enchantment or embodiment or like more relational experience with the world, like then I'm good. You know what I mean? Like there's that's kind of where I would want to hesitate away from that, both extremes really. But when I said, no, it actually kind of is about the thing. So you're hitting on that one extreme, which I like. So I get what you're saying now. I'm focused on that other extreme of like, I know in my own life where, and it seems like per our conversation, like we really like abstracting things, right? Like you could have so many examples, but I'll just say in my own life where I've seen like one example could be like, you know, like I can read a bunch of books about prayer and like know all the things about prayer, all the nice things. And I can like abstract prayer, but like, what is actually going to teach me about prayer? Like praying.
That's right.
You know what I mean?
Firsthand.
Like, I'm going to get better at prayer if I pray.
And I would call that participation.
Exactly. Yeah. But on the other end of the spectrum, you can get like weird with prayer, right? Like you can get weird with anything. And so, you know, where it just becomes about like just doing the thing you're supposed to be doing in prayer.
if you think it's about behavior.
Yeah, exactly. And so, man, you're hitting on it. Just, this has been something I've been thinking about for a long time. I've just like, and it isn't true. I don't want to make it like a black and white truth, but it's like so much of life is wrestling in that middle place. I mean, a lot of philosophers have talked about this throughout time. But again, if I was to say like recovering sort of a mystical life, a participatory life where things are going to be revealed to me and I get to participate in God's work and creation in a beautiful way where it's reciprocal, like wrestling with that middle ground is like super important. Like I don't have to have the answers. I don't have to like know all the facts about something. Not that that's bad, but like I just need to like participate in it and it will sort of show itself, you know? And again, that doesn't necessarily mean that there isn't right or wrong or there isn't black and white answers. There certainly are. But it seems
this is like, relationship again.
Yeah, exactly. So you're not outside of this thing. What am I wanting to do? I'm wanting to recover like a relationship with things. Like I want my life to be like real and not like abstracted.
Does that
make sense?
Yep. I'm going to get at this from a different angle.
All right.
I dipped into a book years ago called The Voices of Silence by Andre Malraux, maybe mid-20th century author talking about art and the way art operates. Mm-hmm. Big book, again, like didn't get through it, but I digested his kind of his main points. He makes the point that the idea of a museum and the way that we encounter art today is a relatively recent development.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's akin to a butterfly collection.
Yep.
Bug collection.
For sure.
Where you're looking at the thing outside of its context with a little label that tells you trivia.
Yeah. The nice fancy Latin name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And maybe its location or something. Like you get like this download of facts with the specimen. Mm-hmm. So you go to a museum and it is...
it's dead.
And it's dead.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not... okay, and so his point is, with an artwork, it's no longer in its participatory context. Mm-hmm. Say you're taking something from a monastery.
Yeah, for sure.
Or from a cathedral, or from a palace, or from a piece of architecture, city square. It was understood in past centuries that art is not something that you're separated from. It's something that you participate in. And its meaning grows as you experience it in different contexts from day to day, year to year, generation to generation. Mm-hmm. So, nowadays what happens is people go to museums and they treat it like it's a religious experience. They walk around quietly, reverently, sort of devote their attention almost like they're in a chapel.
Yeah.
It's taken on this sort of simultaneously pseudo-religious kind of behavior or regard for it, but also this sort of, like you said, dead, separated status.
Yeah.
Which makes a lot of people kind of regard it as like hoity-toity,
Yeah.
It's
not, for sure is,
it's not part of my life.
Yeah.
That's a new idea.
For sure. Man, that's a great example. See, the examples are everywhere. That's a good one. Because it's like, what do you do with that? I don't think museums are like inherently evil.
No, I love museums.
Yeah. But there's something there, right? Like, and there's so much there. I don't even know, like, there's so many places we could take what you just said.
Take it back to Plato regarding writing.
Yeah. Well, it's just like when you introduce any sort of technology, maybe this is like his critique.
Let's say presentation.
Presentation
it's
or
a method of presenting information.
Yeah. But I mean, like, depending on how you want to define technology, like, I wonder if you could frame museums as a type of technology to impart information.
Sure. If it's in that category, then I'm with you.
Like, because is like a book technology? You would say, yeah.
I think so.
And all it really does is impart information to you.
Yeah.
Right?
It's a delivery method.
Yeah. And so, like, everything in the world has a reciprocal effect. Right? So nothing is actually arbitrary. Like, I can't just, like, do a thing arbitrarily and then have it, like, not really have an effect on me. Right? That's the sort of lie that we've believed because of the left brain dominance, the sort of scientific world. Like, oh, we can, like, totally separate ourselves from something, sort of have no effect on it. So as to study it or learn from it, or like, it's like you were saying, like the Cartesian idea that I can just, like, go in my room and just, like, think about things really hard and have that actually be, like, totally separated from reality. And that will actually give me the clearest picture of what reality is. Like, that's a way to approach the world. I don't think that's reality. So
as if it's pure and unsullied.
Yeah, exactly. Like, and so, like, when I'm reading a book, like, I'm engaging in a relationship with that thing, and it's engaging. I know weird language, but I'm just trying to use it to make a point. But it's engaging in a relationship with me, and the book is having an effect on me.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So that's like a poetic way to explain it. Like,
not only the content of the book, but the fact that it's writing.
The fact that I'm reading it in a book and it's writing, and it's sort of
you
like,
could be listening.
Yeah, exactly. And that was his contention, like, because in Plato's time, I'm sure if some people were writing things, but, like, the vast acquisition of knowledge was oral, right? So, like, you go to university and you just hear people talk, and that's it, right? I mean, that's what the Bible was before it was written down, right? Like, that was all of humanity until sort of writing took over. And that sounds really scary, right? But the thing is, like, we developed to have that be something we had the capacity for, right? And our memories were different.
That's where I was going to go.
Yeah. It's like the same thing, like,
people rise to that need.
Exactly. We're shaped because, like, because when we're in a relationship to something, it's a reciprocal relationship. You can't actually abstract yourself.
This is starting to get at what people are afraid of with AI.
Yeah. It's a massive question.
The way that it affects the human.
Yeah. And that's what I mean. Like, I don't want to be a computer.
Yeah. I
want to be less computer-like. At this point in the world's trajectory, like, I think we're too computer-like. So just imagine, you know. But it's like on all levels. Like, I think there was a study that came out of, like, people, like, our amygdala, or not our amygdalas, I forgot. There's a part of the brain that's getting smaller because we keep using GPS. And so one of the functions of that brain, it's probably not the only function, is, like, we actually don't know how to orient ourselves. Right? And we all know it. Like,
that's exactly what McGilchrist is getting at, the relationship with the external world.
Exactly.
Your internal relationship with your context.
Mm-hmm. And yeah, it's like, well, it's just easy, and I don't really have to think about it. I'll just plug in the coordinates, and, like, it makes sense when you don't know where you're going. But then at some point, like, what we should be doing is actually paying attention to where we're going, right? And then we can actually learn, like, oh, well, this is how I get to this place. You know, and it's like, and that will actually have more effect on your life in a positive way than just, like, I know how to get from A to B. You know what I mean?
Yeah. So the way I would frame this is survive versus thrive. Is it your goal to just do the least amount possible and succeed? Or is it your goal to develop a skill and get good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And this has everything to do with your homework, your vocation, your relationships.
Yeah.
Do you want to simply stay out of trouble? Or do you want to become the most you can be?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With your life.
It comes back to values, right? Because it's like, it makes sense on the level of like, well, I'm just trying to like get through all the things that I have to do as easily as possible so I can focus on the things that actually matter to me. Right?
And I've been there, and I wonder if you ever get through that list.
Exactly.
The task list just keeps on populating.
Yeah. So it's fair, like, you know, whether it's AI or whether it was like universal basic income, right? It was all about predicated on this idea of like, give people the necessities and take away things that could sort of encumber their ability to focus on the things that really matter to them.
Sure. Yeah.
And again, and this is what we've been doing since we've been put on this earth, right? In some way. So it's like nobody goes down to the well to like fetch their water anymore. Mm-hmm. And we're all pretty happy about that. It might be better to do that in some like, you know, from like a right brain perspective. Like that actually might be good.
Gets you outside.
When like you have a relationship with your water, right? You don't have to think about the water. Like if the water gets poisoned in Mankato or North Mankato, like you're screwed. Like what are you going to do? Because it's like, oh, this thing, I just go to the faucet and it comes out and I don't really have to think about like, is it good water? And again, I'm not saying that's inherently bad. It shapes us in a particular way, right? And
all those conveniences, you know, they always promise that you'll get more time to do what matters to you.
Exactly.
This is like every advertisement.
Yes.
Or every innovation. Yeah. But what happens is then everybody, like the whole world accommodates it and then like expects that you'll do more because now you have this time.
Yeah.
So the world just like...
And you expect yourself to do more and actually to make something of your life.
It just grabs more of you.
We kind of lie to ourselves, right? As if we, actually know what we value. And then like we believe that our values are actually good values most of the time. Or the ways that I think I should be spending my life are the actual ways I should be spending my life. Right? So that's where like we lie. We really just lie to ourselves. Like, and I do this all the time. And so then I'm justified, right? Like, oh, if I just take away all these things, then I'm really going to focus on the things that are really important. I'm going to really like focus on the things God wants me to. If I can just like get all these things done, then I'll really start praying, right? Or something like that. So from that perspective, like, yeah, like get all the things that like I have to do out of here so I can just like focus on the things that are good or that I want to do. But like that whole paradigm's been flipped for me, at least the way that I want to approach my life. Like I want to do the things that are kind of an inconvenience. And it's hard. It's just like, but it's like totally a values thing. It's just like for example, we got a dishwasher in the new place. It's like, it's awesome, right? Mm-hmm. I was spending hours doing dishes at night, really because like they would just pile up and I didn't have the discipline to do them as they were happening. But you could see where like, oh, dishwasher, like, I don't have to spend time doing dishes at night. But it's like, look, everybody eats and everybody makes dishes. Depending on like how you approach eating, right? It's culturally different, I suppose, but it's like, so there's probably actually something really human about just doing the dishes. I know that like intuitively. And also like people have wrote about those things forever, right? Like one example would just be like monastics in the Christian tradition. It's just like, just shut up and do the dishes as if you got something better to do. Just do the dishes.
Right. What are you freeing yourself? So let's say the dishwasher as an example. Are you freeing yourself to do the noble things? Theoretically, your story says that.
Exactly.
But what actually happens?
Most of the time we're not.
Doom scrolling.
Exactly.
Netflix.
We're wasting time.
Which, all that gets a bad rap, but...
For sure. And yeah, I'm not trying to make this black and white.
Yeah.
Again, I'm really just try to approach it from more of a right brain, I guess. I don't want to just say like, ooh, I can approach things from the right brain. Like, it's more of just like, man, like I just want a better relationship with things. Like I've been saying this phrase a lot. Like I just want to be more real,
I've been very slowly, there's a theme here. I've been slowly reading a book, right? We've established several books that I haven't finished.
Yeah.
One's called Martin Luther's Theology of Beauty, the title of which stunned me.
Yeah.
I thought, is that a thing?
I've never encountered that title in my whole life.
Yeah. It's another scholarly work, and I highly recommend it. The point that I'm at in the book, I'm getting close to the end. I'm about 2 chapters away from the end. He is wrestling in the middle constantly. He found himself standing between people insisting on the Roman way, and then people insisting on just destroying everything, starting completely from scratch. That's one example of his middleness.
Yeah.
Another example is the way that he will advocate for things that don't make sense, but Scripture says. So, the dual nature of Jesus. He's 100% God, he's 100% man. Or...
Exactly, that's another instance where, like, it's the paradox, the middle, right?
The middle.
At the highest level. Because it scales. This whole thing scales. That principle. Keep going, though. Keep going.
So the same thing happens with his stance on the Eucharist, on the nature of the elements. Right? This is my body. This is my blood. Well, that's bread.
Yeah.
That's wine. But Jesus says it is body. It is blood. And Luther says, okay, if you say so.
Yeah.
So the point that I'm coming around to here that I think you might find really interesting is Luther insists that God uses the material world, that he's constantly coming to us. In fact, it's the only way that God approaches us is through embodied physical means. So we hear words coming through our senses, through our ears. We taste and see that the Lord is good. And we encounter his creation constantly. And there's a historic sort of temptation to sort of separate. Nowadays we call it mind body, but there was this sort of spirit body separation in the past that insisted that God is spirit and only comes to us in sort of mystical spiritual ways. But the examples that I just gave, the incarnation is just such an affirmation to humanity.
Yeah, for sure.
From God. And then that's this pattern that's how God operates with us.
Yeah.
Because he understands that we have physical existence.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's how he created us, right?
So every time that he works with us, it's translated through that physical existence that we have.
Yeah.
So in that way, re-enchantment can find its root there.
Yeah.
In an appropriate understanding that God is masked behind all the things we see. in some way.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I'm for that. You know, like, I'd maybe take intention with, like, it's the only way we can experience God. We don't have to talk about that, though, because I still love it. I love what you're saying. But that's what I want to recover, right?
Right.
That's what
and that's why I bring it up.
Yeah.
Because it's relevant.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Well, and yeah, it's crazy. Like, the incarnation is just amazing, right? And I was thinking a lot about, because there's just like different people I listen to and read of, like, the incarnation as an extension of creation, right? Really, like, is actually the reason for creation. Like, the incarnation is like creation happening, actually.
And when we say incarnation, let's just be clear. This is the person of Jesus.
The person of Jesus, right?
God made flesh.
Yeah. But we typically think about it as like time bound, right? And in that way, it's like the incarnation was like a rescue mission for creation. But it's like, well, what does it mean when I'm forgetting? I think it was maybe Paul, but I can't remember where it was. For some reason, like, it could be in Revelation 2. But like, what does it mean when it says, like, Christ, like, he was the lamb slain before the foundation of the world? Or this was just like a reading that just happened. But it was, and I think it was in Corinthians, and we can almost like pull it up, but it was like, man, Paul's just like going off, and he's like talking about Christ, in whom and for whom and by whom, like, all creation happens and was for, and is like almost continually unfolding, you know, and it's like, and so, what am I trying to say?
Time.
Well, time, but also
the incarnation is not time bound. I think
it's
that's
not
where
time bound, and it's like, it's almost like the point, right? And to what you said, like, it's like, if the incarnation was always going to happen, and is almost like the purpose of creation, right? We could unfold that. We don't have to, like, because we'll get in the weeds, and this is like not like a finished thought, so I don't want to like open this up, because I don't know where it would go, and it would, you know, not that it would be bad, it'd just be like, because what is even happening right now with what I'm saying? But like, yeah, like God valuing his creation so much that he becomes his creation, right? Like, what does that even mean?
That's a famous synopsis.
And then
for God valued the world so much.
Yeah, exactly, right? But like, before even the foundations of the world,
in the beginning was the Word,
and everything comes through Christ and is for Christ, right? And because like, he could have snapped his fingers, right? God could have just like, wow, that went bad, right? Like, in some ways that's really boring. Like, I hate when we abstract God like that. Well, like, he didn't have to do any of this. It's like, that's just really boring to me, because like, this is what he did, you know? But yeah, he comes and participates in his creation, finishes his creation. You know, some say like the cross is the completion of creation. And some say like creation is ongoing, right? As Christ continually participates in it, and as we participate in it. And so I just to bolster, like, yeah, like, because we can get in this place in the Christian world of like, well, you know, heaven's really our home, and this is just like a temporary place, and it doesn't really matter. And it's like, well, first of all, there's going to be a new earth. I don't know what any of that is going to look like or is going to mean, because St. Paul says, no eye has seen or ear has heard, you know, the things waiting for us. But I do know, like, I can participate in this world, and the Lord will work in me through that. And the world has things to offer me, and I have things to offer the world in a reciprocal, beautiful way.
And for now, that's the job.
And for now, that's the job, right? Yeah. And it's important.
Though your citizenship may be elsewhere.
Yeah.
You're here.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the thing. We make it secondary, right?
Be present.
It's like, I don't think it is secondary.
This is the vocation.
Yeah,
right
like
now.
I'm here now.
Yeah.
And God created the world as it is. It's alive. And so
I think your allegiance can be to heaven while your presence is on earth.
yeah. Oh, for sure. But and again, like I know in my own life where that can become really abstracted to me. Right? Where that theme's coming back. Like, I just only focus on heaven, right? Or like, what's going on here doesn't necessarily really matter. Or, like I can take these exceptions in my life because, well, heaven, and I want this to matter, like, because I'm here. God's put me here. It's not even just that I just like happen to be here, like,
You're here
it's
on
like,
purpose.
It's like God put me here.
Yeah. This place, this time.
Yeah. And that means something.
It does.
Like,
It does.
Like
So don't remove yourself.
Yeah. It's like I'm participating in his ongoing creation. It's the same thing of like, like.
It's like an argument with God. If you're saying, well, I don't really belong here.
Yeah, it's like, what?
Yeah, but you are here, and God did that.
But you see how you can abstract it on so many different levels. Like, well, God didn't have to like make me, like God or anything, like, because you could abstract it on all the levels. Like, well, we don't really need pastors, we don't have to like have church. It's like,
yeah, if you take a line of reasoning too far,
yeah.
take the abstraction too far,
and it's again, like God didn't have to do that. It's like
why do?
It's
anything?
like I am here. Yeah,
why
like,
wake up? Why,
like Jason's
why participate?
here. Yeah, okay. God didn't like need Jason or have to have Jason in some nice abstract way of thinking about God and his providence and his power to do anything. But it's just like super boring to me because like God did deign that Jason Jaspersen be in the world in this time, and is calling you to participate in his life and to unfold his love to the world through the things that you do, right?
In the same way that you said about history, that God could have snapped his finger or whatever. Like,
yeah, exactly.
You're saying, knock it off.
It's just so boring. It's
here's
like,
what happened.
Here's what's here.
Yeah. Deal with reality.
Yeah.
Pay attention to what's real.
Yeah, and it's really hard.
And maybe that's a Cartesian thing again. René Descartes, like getting stuck in your imaginary world too much.
I mean, the Christian church at large definitely in the West suffered and has kind of been formed in that framework. And
which is the butterfly collection that we talked about in the museum. So, the lingering question is worship about behavior or belief? And to me, this is like I said about the sort of the separation that's implied by the Enlightenment, by that sort of relationship to the world, or like a lack of relationship. That it's like you're in an interrogation room with the one-way mirror, looking at everything, and not being able to be seen.
Mm-hmm.
Is the world like that to you? I'm not saying you, but like for us to consider.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the Cartesian, the René Descartes sort of mind-body idea. It's the abstraction that you're concerned about people being too disconnected from what actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And then in the worship situation, I wonder sometimes if we show up and stay out of trouble. As opposed to participation is more than just like standing, sitting, singing.
Yeah.
Participation has to do with...
But also more than just like an assent to beliefs. like a mental assent to beliefs, right? I would say.
So how can you explain that difference? A mental assent to beliefs. Unpack that for us.
Yeah, so, I don't know, like, when you say the word belief, like, what do you mean by that?
Yeah. I think what I'm looking at is the difference between interior and exterior. And maybe as it relates to quantifiable and unquantifiable.
Like almost in the range of like spiritual, physical.
Maybe so.
Okay.
Maybe so. And this is so tangly. But it's on my mind, What do we think we do? What do we think is happening in worship?
Yeah.
Do we recognize that the throne room of God approaches us?
Mm-hmm.
That God
is
imminent. He's here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I can try to open it up a little bit. This is fascinating. Like, I think it matters to everything we've been talking about.
Go where you go. We're going to spiral our way towards an ending.
Okay. I'll just use this as an example because I think it illustrates it, because that's what it is about. Like, like there was that time where Jordan Peterson, he and everybody, it's almost become like a meme. About like, what does it mean to believe? And like, what does believe mean? And what does like is mean? And like, and people were giving him crap for it. And like, look, like you don't have to like or dislike Jordan Peterson. Like, I'm just trying to use that as an illustration of like, I think he's trying to get at something genuine. Like, well, what do you actually mean by believe? I think based on everything we said, like belief typically has been, and I'll just say in my own experience, like a mental assent to something. Like, okay, I know the creeds or something. I believe that Jesus did X and Y. And as long as I sort of hold that in like my mental or some spiritual register, like that's all I really need to do. And again, like I don't want to get into like the nuances of different like theology necessarily, just asking this question, like what does it mean to believe? And it typically gets like kind of opposed to worship, right? As you did. And I'm not saying you did that intentionally, but it's like, okay, well there's worship on one side and then there's belief. And so you could ask that question, like, what does it mean to believe? Well, like to hold sort of the facts about what Christ did in my mind, and then it seems to me like that side of things is like, okay, well, as long as I sort of know it, and then we use that word, right? Like believe it. So it, like, what does that mean? So it's like some sort of combination of like this emotional feeling of like, okay, I believe this, it resonates or something. And then I know the facts. And as long as I sort of report that, I'm not saying that's like wrong. I'm just saying, okay, well, that's one way to view it. And it's like, but like, what if belief isn't just that? Like, what if belief has this layer of worship to it? And I think like that's what Jordan Peterson was like sort of getting at. Like, well, I can say I believe in God, but like, I think his contention was like, if I don't act as if I believe in God, like, what does that mean? Other than just an assent to some particular like mental facts, right? And I was going to say this when you were talking about like the thing, like when we were talking about the art gallery, like and how people do treat it like a religious experience, and like that's a total fact. And like there's sort of like a negative connotation there of like, that's a little weird. Should we be like treating the museum as a spiritual thing? And it's like, well, that's just like inherent to what people do, right? Like we're created as religious creatures. And so we participate in the world through like a religious lens, right? In the deepest part of ourselves.
So you're saying like that's gonna happen.
It's gonna happen. I'm not saying it's good to do that with the museum necessarily.
Like if it disappears in some place, it will pop up some other place.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. Because what does like the religious impulse have behind it? Well, it has like rituals. It has principles of belief. It had, you know what I mean? Like,
and participation.
And you participate in it. It's like, and so like this just happens, you know, like
participation in the transcendent.
Yeah.
You want something more.
Yeah, we're ordered. We're just ordered.
Everyday.
We're ordered to that, right?
Yeah.
And so it's gonna happen, and so okay, so like, yeah, we gotta land this plane, but it's like, well, what does it really mean to believe? Like, I'm not saying I know. It just seems to be like something that's more than just like an assent to facts, right?
Well, I have a thought on this.
It might. Yeah, go ahead.
So I'm hearing that you have an issue with a stance that maybe is related to allegiance. You know, like I remember in grade school, we would stand up, we would pledge allegiance to the flag.
Yeah, and
then almost everybody would say, they would say "Amen" at the end unintentionally.
Oh, really?
Because
I'm trying to remember. It's been a while since I pledged allegiance.
It feels the same as a creed.
Oh, for sure.
And it really actually
is. Oh, yeah. That's the thing.
You know, like, and this is that kind of declaration that you're taking issue with. Is that really what we mean by believe? It's like when people become U.S. citizens, you know, they have to say certain things.
Yeah.
Right? But does that actually reflect the heart? I think that's the question you're coming up with. Yeah. And the thing I want to bring into the mix is dependence. I want to just consider that maybe belief is about where you place your hope and your trust. I think that's it's related, you know.
Well, help me understand what you mean by that.
My help comes from the Lord, the maker of heaven and earth.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of an allegiance.
Yeah.
But it's more like, here's how I know it's going to be okay. Here's how I know it's going to be okay.
Mm-hmm.
Because to me, the credibility of the creator of the universe assures me.
Yeah. Yeah, I see what you're saying.
And a different stance with different values, we've been using the word values, a different stance might not find assurance there. They'll find assurance in something more like, my help comes from the stock market, the maker of billionaires.
Yeah.
You know? Well, so what do you actually believe is going to make it okay?
Yeah. Well, yeah, and so I'm with you. I guess my thought, again, I'm not saying you're wrong, just like to bring in like the aspect of like again, this messy participation in the middle called like life, like how I'm actually living, you know, like, it's like, is putting my trust in the Lord, again, just like an assent, right? Something like I can think about and have the nice feelings about, which we all do, and it's beautiful. Like, I want that. But then if I don't live in hope, or I don't live in trust, like, do I actually trust? It's like, think of like a trust fall, right? Like, if I don't fall, do I actually not trust, you know? Can I have this like abstracted, that's what I mean, right? Like if I just have sort of the mental assent that I trust and then I don't live in that, like what does that even mean?
Yeah.
It's just an abstraction. And again, I don't want to get into the theological.
You're suggesting that there'll be evidence.
Yeah, like, you know, and I think Christ does this, right? He calls us out in this, in Scripture. And we got to land this plane. We could open that up. But even just like, so in like, yeah, in some theological place, if we want to talk about like evidence of that faith. But even just like, just what we're saying, like in this whole conversation, like just from like a place of meaning, like I'm starting to come like, well, what does it even mean to like believe if I'm not living it? It's like, like, what would it mean to like think that I love my wife and I don't actually like love her in reality? You know?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. But a good tree bears good fruit.
Exactly. I don't think they have to be like opposed or in competition with each other. I think you can tend towards one or the other, right? Like in a theological sense, like my works will save me, right? Or I just have this like, or I just have like this total abstraction, right? Like, well, none of this really matters. I'm just biding my time and I'm clinging to Christ, and all that really means is like, I don't know, I'm thinking about Christ a lot or something like that, you know? But I think Christ calls us out more than we'd like, don't do either of those things, right? Like, yeah, like when you've given somebody something to drink or have clothed them, you've done that to me. And if you haven't done that, you better watch out, you know? And I don't think we have to be afraid in that place. It just goes back to the thing of like, hey, do the thing. Like, wake up. Like, I think Jesus is always saying that, you know? Like, man, that's like a devastating part in Scripture, like when they're in the Garden of Gethsemane. Jesus is like, you couldn't even have stayed awake with me for 1 hour? And I'm like, man, it just makes me want to cry now. Because, like, he's saying that to me, you know? And that's the thing. I just want to be awake. I want to be alive. And I know I'm really good at falling asleep in every part of my life, you know? And so that's what I would say.
Joe, I suspect we've made a good episode right here.
Yeah.
I think we've given we've lived up to the idea of a feast. You know, a collaborative sort of kitchen here.
Yeah.
We've set the table, and our listeners can munch on this.
I think we do need a part 2, just because what you said about the table, we were going to talk about an actual feast.
Oh, there's a lot for us to talk about.
And so
how about we just keep trying?
Yeah.
You know,
that's great.
We can come and talk over and over.
Yeah.
Life is going to throw tasks at us. We both have places to go and things to do.
For sure.
But there's space.
Yeah. Yeah. Amen. This was great.
I agree. Nice pen.
Thanks. You too. I didn't even write with it.
I scribbled a little bit. Okay, we're going to sign off. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.